Hello everyone, and welcome to this, my Power of the Daleks Special Edition DVD review. So I recently purchased Power of the Daleks, the Special Edition. I've watched it, and I've watched all the contents as well in the special features, and I just wanted to give you my little review of what I think about this new release. So I do have the original Power of the Daleks edition that came out in 2016. This originally was released to coincide with the 50th anniversary of the story Power of the Daleks, which sadly is missing virtually in its entirety. But there were some concerns from the animation team of how this was actually presented, and they felt that they could do a little bit better. And as Power of the Daleks is meant to be set in the year 2020, which is the year we're in right now, and it also coincides with what would have been Patrick Troughton's 100th birthday, they decided to basically rescan and change one or two things in the animation to give you a special, fully realised vision of what they were trying to achieve. Now, do I believe that this is actually a better release than the original? Personally, yes. I was very sceptical going into this. I thought it was maybe BBC trying to cash in on just another special edition, but I do believe that this one is actually the definitive version. So I suggest if you don't have this version, or even if you do have this version, I would still recommend picking up this version as well. So let's go first of all with a couple of negatives about this. First of all, the cover. I personally don't really like this cover. It's meant to be Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor's first story, and I would have preferred if he was somewhere on the cover. I know that Unearthly Child doesn't have the Doctor on the front, and it was the very first Doctor Who story, but that's part of a box set anyway, and Hartnell does feature on the Daleks DVD, which is part of that 3-story box set. All the other post-regeneration stories do feature the Doctor on the cover somewhere. I would have preferred that for this release. I think it would have been nice as it was Patrick Troughton's first story. So in that respect, there's things about this cover that I actually prefer, because it does actually have the second Doctor on the cover. Also, one more negative I am going to point out is I got told that the scene where the Doctor in the TARDIS is playing the recorder, that got eliminated from this version, but is in this version. I don't know why they decided to edit that. It's quite a nice little moment with the Doctor playing the recorder for the first time. It's kind of an iconic prop that he uses throughout his tenure. So why they cut it out, I don't know. But it is available in the special features of this DVD. So it is still there. Maybe they didn't have time to rescan that or reanimate that. But if they've taken the time to do the whole release again, I think they could have maybe made a bit more effort to change that scene up a bit, or at least keep it in as it was. And now to the positives. The special features are absolutely abundant on this release, and I've seen 99% of them, and I've got to say I think they're really, really good. The documentaries are informative. For example, the making of Power of the Daleks. Again, it feels more like it's a celebration of how the BBC actually went about scheduling and filming and all the things that are featured within a production at that time of the 60s. And for me, to celebrate the BBC and how they did programming back then is a little bit of a joke. And it's kind of a hypocrisy that although they're trying to celebrate how the production team worked at that time at the BBC and how they scheduled these programs, are also the same company who decided to delete a lot of these stories. Well done. If you are a fan of special features, then this version is definitely the one to get. In terms of the actual new animation that we see in the special edition, I think it's fantastic. The way they've reimagined episode 1 in particular is very, very good. It flows very nicely, the animation looks less static, more fluid, and I get a better impression of what's actually going on. The sound effects that you can hear in the audio are actually in reflection of what's actually going on in the story, whereas before, sometimes you would hear a sound, you'd hear something drop, and you couldn't quite see what was going on. because the animation was a little bit limited, shall we say. But the most significant changes are made to episode 1. Episode 2, there is a couple of little differences, not significant to the point where it's overly noticeable, but if you've watched the story as often as I have, you'll definitely pick it up. And episode 5, where Lesterson is going mad, is portrayed much better in this version than the original release. There's a lot more grayscaling in this version, whereas in the old version it's very black and white, and sometimes the textures are a little bit lost because of it, whereas it seems to be retained better here. Plus, the modelling of Ben, Polly, the other characters in this story, as well as Troughton, do seem a little bit more refined and a little bit more like the characters do in the story, so I quite like that as well. But for the actual story itself, it's just as strong as ever. It is not only my favourite Dalek story, it's my favourite Second Doctor story, it's my favourite story from Doctor Who, Classic or New Who. I adore this story. So for the animation to be even better than it was before, elevates the story even more for me, and I just think it's absolutely superb. So what I might do as a little bit of an idea of what differences there are, I'll do a small segment from the original release and then show you the same segment but from the new edition, and see if you can spot the differences yourself and see what you think, if it's actually improved it or if it's not really done much to it. But anyway, here is the little clips to show you and see what you think of this new release.
It's over. It's over. Muscles are still a bit tight. Muscles are still a bit tight. Extermination. Extermination. I think it's time we went for a stroll.
But you don't know where we've landed!
No, and you haven't checked the oxygen or the temperature or anything.
I think it's time we went for a stroll.
But you don't know where we've landed!
No, and you haven't checked the oxygen or the temperature or anything.
So there we are. I hope you enjoyed that little segment. Of course, the quality is not outstanding, as I literally have just filmed it straight off the camera. Apologies if it's not the greatest quality, but it's just to give you a little idea for review purposes of what you might be expecting to see in this new release. But I am very, very happy to have the special edition now. Like I said, I was quite sceptical, but I think there's significant changes enough to enjoy this again and say that this is probably the definitive version that we will get of this story, unless the actual 6 episodes are found. And with episodes being found all the time, it is possible that one day we might actually get the original 6 parts of this story, but we may not, and if we don't, I think that this version is definitely good enough to give you a real impression of how great and fantastic this post-regeneration, first post-regeneration story actually is. So I would give this animation probably a 9 out of 10. I would put it on par with the Moon Base and the Macra Terror as well. I think it is really, really good overall. And of course the story gets a 10 out of 10. And I think for the bonus features as well, this DVD release probably gets a 10 out of 10. So I hope you have enjoyed this little review, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tap and comment. And I will see you folks on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.